Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video we are going to talk about the 10 facts about Fawzia Fuad Pahlavi. So before starting this video, like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Princess Fawzia was born into unimaginable luxury, but she would grow into even bigger scandal. Pushed into an infamous marriage, Fawzia's messy bedroom life turned into fodder for the world stage almost overnight. Number 10. Princess Fawzia was born her Sultanic Highness, Princess Fawzia bint Fuad at Ras El Tin Palace, Alexandria, the eldest daughter of Sultan Fuad I of Egypt and Sudan, later King Fuad I, and his second wife, Nazli Sabri. On November 5, 1921, Princess Fawzia Fuad was of Albanian, Turkish, French and Circassian descent. Her mother's maternal grandfather was Major General Mohammad Sharif Pasha, Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was of Turkish origin. She was also a great-granddaughter of the French-born officer Suleiman Pasha. Suleiman Pasha served under Napoleon, converted to Islam, and oversaw an overhaul of the Egyptian army under her great-great-grandfather Muhammad Ali Pasha the Great. Number 9. In addition to her sisters, Faiza, Faika, and Fadia, and her brother, Farouk, she had two half-siblings from her father's previous marriage to Princess Shwekar Khanum Effendi. Princess Fawzia was educated in Switzerland and was fluent in English and French in addition to her native Arabic. Her beauty was often compared to that of film stars Hedy Lamarr and Vivien Leigh. Number 8. The marriage of Princess Fawzia to Iran's crown Prince Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was planned by the latter's father Reza Shah. A declassified CIA report in May 1972 described the union as a political move. The marriage was also significant in that it united a Sunni royal, the princess, and a Shia royal, the crown prince. The Pahlavis were a parvenu house as Reza Khan, the son of a peasant who entered the Iranian army as a private, rising up to become a general, had seized power in a 1921 coup, and he was most anxious to have the house of Pahlavi married to the house of Ali, who had reigned over Egypt since 1805. The Egyptians were not impressed with the gifts sent by Reza Shah to King Farouk, asked to persuade him to marry his sister to Prince Mohammad Reza, and when an Iranian delegation arrived in Cairo to arrange the marriage, the Egyptians took the Iranians on a tour of the palaces built by Ismail Pasha, known as Ismail the Magnificent, to show them proper royal splendor. King Farouk was not initially interested in marrying off his sister to the Crown Prince of Iran, but Ali Mar Pasha, the king's favorite political advisor, persuaded him that a alliance with Iran would improve Egypt's position within the Islamic world and against Britain. Mar Pasha was working on plans to marry off Farouk's other sisters to King Faisal II of Iraq, and to the son of Emir Abdullah of Jordan, planning on forging an Egyptian-dominated bloc in the Middle East. To prepare for life in Iran, Fawzia was assigned a tutor to teach her Persian. Number 7. Princess Fawzia of Egypt and Mohammad Reza Pahlavi were engaged in May 1938. However, they saw each other only once before their wedding. They married at the Abdeen Palace in Cairo on March 15, 1939. King Farouk took the couple on a tour of Egypt, showing them the pyramids, Al-Azhar University, and other famous sites in Egypt. The contrast between the Crown Prince Mohammad Reza, dressed in a simple uniform of an Iranian officer, versus the lavish opulence of the Egyptian court, with the famously free-spending Farouk who wore expensive suits, was much remarked upon at the time. After the wedding, King Farouk had a 20-course meal to celebrate the wedding at the Abdeen Palace. At the time, Prince Mohammad Reza lived in awe of his overbearing father, Reza Shah, and was dominated by Farouk, who was considerably more self-confident. Afterwards, Fawzia departed for Iran together with her mother, Queen Nazli, on a train trip. Saw the electricity break down several times, causing the two women to feel like they were going on a camping trip. Number 6. When they returned to Iran, the wedding ceremony was repeated at Marble Palace, Tehran, which was also their future residence. As Prince Mohammad Reza spoke no Turkish, one of the languages of the Egyptian elite, the other being French, and Princess Fawzia was described as being only competent in Persian. The two talked to each in French, which both were fluent in. Upon arriving in Tehran, Reza Shah had the main streets of Tehran decorated with banners and arches, and had a celebration at the Amjadieh Stadium attended by 25,000 of the Iranian elite, with synchronized acrobatics by students being followed by Bostoni, Iranian calisthenics, fencing, and football. The wedding dinner was a French-style, dinner with caviar from the Caspian Sea, consommé royal, fish, fowl and lamb. Fawzia disliked Reza Khan, whom she described as a violent and thuggish man prone to attacking people with either his whip or riding crop. In contrast to the French food she had grown up with in Egypt, Princess Fawzia found the food at the Iranian court subpar. In the same way, Fawzia found that the palaces of Iran could not compare to the palaces. Number 5. Following the marriage, the princess was granted Iranian nationality 2 years. Later the crown prince succeeded his exiled father and was to become the Shah of Iran. Soon after her husband's ascent to the throne, Queen Fawzia appeared on the cover of the September 21, 1942, issue of Life magazine, photographed by Cecil Beaton, who described her as an Asian Venus with a perfect heart-shaped face and strangely pale but piercing blue eyes. She led the newly founded Association for the Protection of Pregnant Women and Children, APOC, in Iran. With Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the King of Iran, she had one child, a daughter. High Princess Shahnaz Pahlavi, born October 27, 1940. Number 4. The marriage was a failure. Fawzia was deeply unhappy in Iran, and often missed her homeland of Egypt. Fawzia's relations with her mother-in-law and her sisters-in-law were notably tempestuous, as the Queen Mother and her daughters saw her as a rival for Mohammad Reza Shah's affections, and the women constantly feuded with each other. One of Mohammad Reza's sisters broke a vase over Fawzia's head. The womanizing Mohammad Reza Shah was frequently unfaithful to Fawzia, and was often seen driving around with other women in Tehran from 1940 onward. Popular rumor had it that Fawzia for her part had an affair with her minder, described as an athletic, handsome man, though her friends insist that this was merely malicious gossip. Fawzia's son-in-law, Ardashir Zahedi, told the Iranian-American historian Abbas Milani in a 2009 interview about the rumors, "She is a lady and never veered from the path of purity and fidelity." From 1944 onward, Fawzia was treated for depression by an American psychiatrist, as she stated her marriage was a loveless one and she desperately wanted to go back to Egypt. Queen Fawzia, the title of empress was not yet used in Iran at that time, moved to Cairo in May 1945 and obtained an Egyptian divorce. The reason for her return was that she viewed Tehran as underdeveloped in contrast to modern, cosmopolitan Cairo. She consulted an American psychiatrist in Baghdad for her troubles shortly before she left Tehran. On the other hand, CIA reports claim that Princess Fawzia ridiculed and humiliated the Shah due to his supposed impotence, leading to their separation. In her book, Twin Sister of the Shah argues that it was the princess, not the Shah, who asked for divorce. Fawzia left Iran for Egypt, and despite numerous attempts on the part of the Shah to persuade her to return, Mohammad Reza told the British ambassador in 1945 that his mother was probably the main obstacle to the return of the Queen. Number 3. This divorce was first not recognized for several years by Iran, but eventually an official divorce was obtained in Iran on November 17, 1948, with Queen Fawzia successfully reclaiming her previous distinction of Princess of Egypt as well. A major condition of the divorce was that her daughter be left behind to be raised in Iran. Incidentally, Queen Fawzia's brother, King Farouk, also divorced his first wife, Queen Farida, in November 1948. In the official announcement of the divorce, it was stated that the Persian climate had endangered the health of Empress Fawzia, and that thus it was agreed that the Egyptian king's sister be divorced. In another official statement, the Shah said that the dissolution of the marriage cannot affect by any means the existing friendly relations between Egypt and Iran. After her divorce, Princess Fawzia headed the Egyptian court. Number 2. On March 28, 1949, at the Koaba Palace in Cairo, Princess Fawzia married Colonel Ismail Chirine, or Chirine 1919–1994, who was the eldest son of Hussein Chirine Bey, and his wife, Princess Amina Bayruz Khanum Effendi. He was a graduate of Trinity College, Cambridge, and a one-time Egyptian Minister of War in the Navy. Following the wedding, they lived in an estate owned by the princess in Mahdi, Cairo. They also resided in a villa in Smuha, Alexandria. Unlike her first marriage, this time Fawzia married for love, and she was described as far happier being married to Colonel Chirine than she ever had been to the Shah of Iran. They had 2 children, 1 daughter, and 1 son. Nadia Chirine, December 19, 1950, Cairo, October 2009. She married first, and divorced, Yusuf Shaban, an Egyptian actor, and second with Mustafa Rashid. She had 2 daughters, one with her first husband, and another with her second husband. Sinai Shaban, born October 1973. Fawzia Rashid. Hussein Chirine, 1955 to 2016. Fawzia lived in Egypt after the 1952 revolution that toppled King Farouk. Princess Fawzia's death was mistakenly reported in January 2005. Princess Fawzia Farouk, 1940 to 2005, one of the 3 daughters of King Farouk. In her later life, Princess Fawzia lived in Alexandria, Egypt, where she died on July 2, 2013 at the age of 91. Her funeral ceremony was held, afternoon prayers at Syed and Nafisa Mosque in Cairo on 3 July. She was buried in Cairo next to her second husband. At her death, she was the oldest member of the deposed Muhammad Ali dynasty residing in Egypt. Number 1. A town in Iran, Fawzabad, was named for Princess Fawzia in 1939. A street in Mahdi, Cairo, was again named for her in 1950 as Amira Fawzia Street, but in 1956 it was renamed as Mustafa Kamal Street. She also got some honors to her name. Honors. Egypt, Decoration of Al-Kamal in Brilliance, May 16, 1939. Iran, Grand Cordon of the Order of Khorshid, October 27, 1940. What do you think of our list? Which of the facts about Fawzia Fuad shocked you the most? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.